just got home from a week-long work trip. Late Friday night now, and I'm gonna go outside and open up the hoop house and see if the come on Ziggy, see if the manure is heated up, and if it has, I'm gonna plant onions tonight and take them out in the morning. My door's frozen together. Alright. There we go, finally. Alright, let's see how we're doing here. Awesome. That's fantastic. Time to plant onions. Sweet. This is called a hand seed sower, and, as far as I know, it's only available from Johnny Selected Seeds. That could be entirely wrong, and it's just my sphere of experience. Either way, I love this thing. Like any good tool, it's simple, well designed, and does exactly what it's supposed to do. In this case, plant seeds at the rate I want in the cells. I have a couple of these, though I only use this one. The others are remnants of a time when I was a commercial farmer with apprentices and employees, and we were planting thousands of seed cells in a single night. These days, I only need one because it's just me planting. If I had a direct line to Johnny's Seeds R&D department, which I don't, I would suggest they enlarge the channel that receives the plexiglass cover by even a fraction of a millimeter. That would allow the cover to rotate more smoothly, and I don't think it would negatively impact the ability of the tool to maintain position. Even without that modification, this tool is great and saves me a lot of headache. Most seeds, though not all, so read the catalog descriptions in the back of your seed packets until you learn which are exceptions, need darkness to germinate. That means they need to be covered. There are several ways to accomplish this. The first, and my least favorite, is shown here. Adding more soil to the tops of the seed cells you've just planted. I've never found this to be an effective method, though I've tried all kinds of variations, even modifying funnels to allow soil to fill seed depressions by tapping on the funnel the same way I do the hand seed sower. Take it from me, if you're planting a lot of seeds in a sitting, your hand will start to cramp into the position it needs to hold the funnel, and it will be painful to open your hand the next day. Over the years, and through many experiments, I've found this to be my preferred method. After dropping seeds on top of the soil medium in each cell, I go back over and press the seeds into the soil with my fingers. How deeply depends upon the seed. With these allium seeds, it's not very deep. This then allows me to scrape a bit of the soil that makes up the sides of that new depression over the seeds, providing the darkness they will need while keeping them close to the surface so the cotyledons don't need to work too hard to break through. Though for onions, that's not really a consideration since they don't put forth cotyledons. Still, the principle is the same, no matter the seed. You just need to keep in mind the general rule that the larger the seed, the deeper it can be planted. Or, looked at another way, the more soil it needs covering it to germinate. Here's another way to plant seeds into their cells if you don't have a handy little planter, like the hand seed sower from Johnny's, shown earlier. I don't like this method as much for two reasons. First, it's harder to see the seeds rolling down the inside of the packet. Since the paper is not see-through, you have to bend over and look up into the packet a bit to ensure you're not getting an avalanche of seeds. Secondly, one nice feature of the hand seed sower is the ridges at the end of the shoot. Their purpose is to slow down the seeds, and they allow more control over the speed of planting and the number of seeds planted at a time. A seed packet does not have this feature. One way to mimic it, though, is to flip the packet over from what I'm doing here and use the sticky flap side as the shoot. The first few seeds will stick to the shoot, making artificial speed bumps for the others. I don't like this because you then have to unstick those seeds to drop them back into the packet, and it makes the sticky material wear out faster, thus shortening the useful life of the reusable packet. All that said, this is a no additional cost way to plant seeds. Another tip I picked up from conversations with a fellow farmer is the habit of collecting or making at least a little bit of your planting mix in the fall so it's ready for spring planting. For me, this is important because I mix garden soil and compost into my planting medium. If I'm making soil blocks, which I'll show later this spring, I have a specific recipe. If I purchase a pre-mixed medium like ProGrow, I use another. In either case, however, I add compost and garden soil to my planting soil mix. It only takes 1 year for getting to gather these ingredients in the fall to learn a valuable lesson. I plant onions in the first week of March, and in my climate, the odds of being able to go outside and collect several buckets of soil and compost are very slim. I have done it before, but it's not very fun. This year, for instance, I would have to dig through about 3 feet of snow and then chip through about 2 inches of ice. Then I'd have to somehow figure out how to break off chunks of frozen compost and chip out frozen clumps of garden soil, bring them in by the fire in buckets and wait for them to thaw before mixing them into my soil mix. Thankfully, I learned this lesson the hard way years ago, and I have an extra tote of planting mix ready to go. Start off the season with a good habit and start taking notes after the first seed hits the soil. If you can't make yourself take good notes now when you're not planting very much, it will be even harder to develop this habit in a month or so. And this is a habit you need to cultivate. Alright, I got back from my week-long work trip late last night. Went out to the hoop house and checked the hotbed, and it's heated up to about 130. So I'm pretty excited about that. So I planted 4 flats of onions last night, and that was all I could do because I didn't really feel like at that point, maybe 9:30 or so, I didn't really feel like coming out here and getting more flats and other materials. So I'm doing that now. So I'm gonna get those onions on the heat and germinating. Come in, Ziggy.